Hey, Zach.
Hey, Neha.
How's it going?
It goes all right. I'm riding through Dirt Wash, who, if I'm not mistaken, is some guy in Perth, although it seems weird that he would be this hour, who apparently had
Um,
docs issues he wanted dealt with, but he forgot my nick. So that seems like a dumb thing. And it's like, I'd like to be better known for that reason. I know that sounds like a weird complaint. It sounds, I don't know, it seems like a very American white guy complaint to me. They like, I'm not better, but I could be doing a lot more than I am. And oh, hey, Liz. And
Islands.
I just read the email from Sage that he is going to work on American voting until November. So, dang. Um, okay, so since it's after 2:30 for me, I'm just going to start. Uh, so with search, we have this thread that I don't know if the thread is available. It's like on Ceph. It's not on Ceph Develop. It's just between us, right? Neha and Josh and Kefu. Yeah, so the situation with search is Google's CSE will work, but it won't work in China, and I think we have to stamp every page with a little JavaScript chunk, scriptlet, or what I don't know what you call it. Read the docs. There's a gap between what they have and what we have that might be unbridgeable. I'm going to have a meeting with Kefu about that at some point. Um, we, I don't know, sometime in the next day or so. And then there's doc search, which seems like it might work, but it will have to be one of you guys who owns whoever owns Ceph/Ceph will have to set it up through the doc search website. And I don't know if there's any drawbacks to it because I haven't set it up because I don't have control of the website. So I'm going to regard search as like a hard to solve problem that is ongoing, and I will keep plugging away at it. But I feel like I've spent enough time this past couple of weeks. I wouldn't say the time hasn't been wasted because I have a better sense of why it's a hard problem now than I did, but I can be making better contributions elsewhere. So search will be an ongoing thing, uh, but I'd like to start writing overview pages, like cleaning up organizing the website so that it can have what Thomas Mann in the Oxford Guide to Library Research calls discovery by serendipity, which means that you're just like looking through the website and you go from one thing to another the way that you do in Wikipedia, where you're like, oh, that's interesting. I'd like to know more about that. Right now, there's a lot of information on the website, on docs.ceph.com, and I've now been with the project long enough to have a sense of its value. I would say up to, I don't know, sometime in January, I didn't really have a very good sense of how much Ceph is. I had done the quick start guide back in November and December, and so I had a sense of what a small installation was. But now I have a sense that like that small installation was my way of beginning to understand the project. Now I see that there are many, many more use cases than I will ever personally come in contact with. And so what I would like to do is maybe have meetings with you guys. I know you guys are very high level and you may not have a lot of time, but meetings where I ask these sort of dumb basic questions about specific pages on docs.ceph.com so that I can then write at the top of the page a little description of like the website, for instance, just sort of assumes everybody knows what erasure coding is. And I would like to write like a little 1 or 2 line thing about erasure coding, which off the top of my head I would say like erasure coding is a way of storing data in an operation that is computationally expensive but less expensive in terms of pure storage. I know that even that's a little bit more abstract than I might want to do. I might want to say like it's a way of doing an algebra problem to get a piece of data that is identical to the actual stored piece of data. And I know that that's a heuristic device, but I think that the website, I think it could use a lot of those high-level heuristic devices that then spark people into thinking, oh, okay, I'd like to know more about that, and then we can get into the taller weeds where basically the documentation would have to be handed over to somebody who actually has technical expertise in mathematics or whatever it is that actually describes the thing correctly rather than heuristically. So if you guys have, I don't know, even like 30 minutes every couple of days would be fine. Just anything so that I can ask like dead stupid questions, like the sort of stupid questions that someone who is merely curious about Ceph might have. I have high confidence and I'm able to generate those and then produce absolutely grammatically correct English sentences where everything is in its syntactic place and what you've said is preserved in a way that we don't currently have on the website. So that's the thing that I would like to start doing now that I have a better sense of what the project is and what the documentation is lacking. Is there any objection to that? Are you guys willing to make that kind of investment?
Yeah, I think that sounds like a good idea to me. I'm happy to talk with you like every day or every few days or something for a little while. Probably
Yeah,
afternoon. My time works pretty well for you in terms of time zones. So
I'll show up anytime. It's 2:37 in the morning right now. I do not mind, and we're all in our house now, and I have kids, so like I'm totally and I would like to do. I would like to put more sentences into the Ceph ecosystem than I have recently. That's really bothering. Sorry, but yeah.
mhm.
Any time is good for me. What time is it right now for you, Josh? I don't actually know what time it
It's
is.
in the morning, so it's 9:40 a.m.
Okay, so like around 6 or 7 my time in the morning would be your afternoon, I reckon, or late
Yeah, so we could do
afternoon.
like something like or the later afternoon or like even evening. So maybe it's like 10 a.m. for you or something. So
What was that?
Uh, The time that I had set for our meeting last week, like 3 p.m. Pacific, I think that was
Yeah,
what it was like 8 a.m. or something for you, or 7, 8,
yeah,
9 or something.
yeah. It was 8 or 9.
Yeah, so that should work for you, right?
Yeah, like that's fine with me. Literally any time is fine with me. When I used to work on Docker at Red Hat, I would have to go to meetings at 4 o'clock in the morning. So since then, like since I
That's
was like 34 years old, I have not had a normal diurnal schedule, and I do not mind. I don't have.
yeah.
I don't.
That's I
What's that?
guess I'm just trying to say that you probably don't need to keep awake at these odd hours, except for this meeting that happens like once in a month. Uh, in general, Pacific and Australia have kind of good overlap, so it wouldn't be a problem for us do it in late afternoons, which is morning for you. About
Sure.
the other part where you wanted to get introduced to more people or wanted more people to know you, one forum that I can see can be useful is that you already are there on IRC and stuff. But if you want more component leads to know you or reach out to you, you could probably join one of the CLT meetings and just introduce yourself and reach out to people. That's something that you might have to stay up for. That happens at whatever, like 3 hours, like roughly 3 hours ago. Like it happened 3 hours ago. Yeah.
Okay.
So it'll be like
Okay.
11 in the night for you.
Yeah, that's fine. And my experience has been in. Okay, I'm going to say like an overview thing and then a specific thing. I want for there to be on this project. I want there to be an institution. I like I want for there to be certain forms that people can expect the way that we used to expect a dial tone to exist when we picked up a phone. Like I would like for there to be like just an awareness that like if you have a docs problem, you can contact me and then you will at least get a response saying, no, we're not going to work on that, rather than feeling like nobody's responding to you. I mean, like, we'll work on stuff, but I want at least something, because that's what I always want when I'm looking for information about software, or I feel like something's lacking. And my experience of working on software projects when I worked at Red Hat was that it was almost never necessary for me to be at every stand up. Like for instance, I remember I worked on something called Atomic Enterprise Platform, which was really like OpenShift minus, although we were told by Jen Krieger never to call it that, even though that's really what it was. And I went to every single stand-up meeting for like 7 months during a development cycle, and almost none of that was actually useful in terms of producing documentation. But what it did was they finally produced the package was actually produced through an Ansible playbook at the end. It wasn't even a complete package. It was not an RPM or anything like that. It was an Ansible playbook that you used to set everything up. And the way that the documentation got written, it was a very good, the documentation that was produced was really, really good. But it was because I had been there for a long time and everybody knew me. And then when they actually set up the Ansible playbook, I was there on that night with them and just wrote everything down step by step, and spent a few hours cleaning it up so that I contextualized the things that weren't entirely clear to people who weren't familiar with Ansible. And so it wasn't useful. Like there was the waste in time. I don't know. I must have wasted, 200 hours going to those meetings, but it did result in really good documentation. So even though like from day to day it was a waste, showing up at the end was good. So if I could have the showing up at the end and helping out, and everybody knowing who I am and being, well enough disposed to me to feel like, okay, this guy's not like he's not going to destroy the information that we have to give him. He's going to bear it to readers in a comprehensible way, without having to sacrifice, 200 hours to get to that point. That would be ideal. So yes, I will attend these meetings. That's a very long-winded way of saying yes. Please put me in these meetings. I'll show up like once a week or something.
Yeah, it's once a week, and yeah, my short answer is I'll add you to the invite.
Okay, then send it to me, and I'm in.
Okay, I think other than that, I think Kifu is already here. You wanted to chat with Kifu about some search stuff. Should we just use this meeting to do that?
We can. That's cool. Let me make sure. Oh, and yeah, okay. I've said pretty much everything that I've said how I feel about stuff right now and what I want to do next. So yeah, let's spend the balance of the time on search, unless anybody has anything new. I see Yuri's here. I don't know if he's here to raise a complaint about the docs, and Lenz is here. You guys have.
I'm here to raise a complaint about life, so I'm in need to see live in flesh. but generally speaking, I mean, sure. But I don't have any complaints, so nice to see you all guys.
Okay, well, good to see you. This is the human condition. We're all grounded. It's like being a teenager again. Oh yeah, I guess.
Yeah, but Lenz is also here. Lenz, do you have anything from the dashboard perspective that you want Zach to contribute to? I think you're muted, Lenz. We can't hear you.
Into the void again. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Got that. Too many mute buttons. Yes, hi, Zach. I don't think we've met in person so far. I'm
hi.
kind of trying to lead the team that works on Ceph Dashboard, the web-based user interface that we are working on for quite some time. Usually this time of the day is a bit bad for me to join in calls, so this is usually probably an exception. I'm not sure if I can make it. I'm based in Europe, so from a time zone overlap perspective, I'm at your later afternoons available if you have questions. So we are on IRC as well. And I think it's a good idea what Neha suggested, that you maybe try to visit the Ceph leadership weekly call at least once so all the team leads can get to know you, what you're up to, and so forth.
Yes.
I admit I haven't been very closely following your work so far, just looking at the Etherpad. I have just one question about read the docs and you deeming it not suitable because we're not primarily a Python project. Does that matter?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're using the documentation tool chain and process that many Python-based projects use. That's correct. And I think from a workflow perspective and kind of the functionality that we would gain by using read the docs sounds very attractive to me. I've been leading a different open source project before we joined the Ceph project, and we were using read the docs for maintaining our documentation and really liked what they have built up there. So just wondering if we should really dismiss it based on the notion if we're not a Python project and that's not suitable.
Okay, in my opinion, there are four solutions on the table. I'm not a programmer. I'm not even particularly good at figuring out how to set up configuration files, and that was the problem that I ran into. Is there's a YAML file that has to be in some specific format, but Keifu knows a lot more about this than I do, and I defer to his expertise. And I'm sorry for starting to talk, Keifu, when you were, but now to Keifu.
Sounds good.
From the angle, we are Python project, but if you look at some details, look relating to the project, there are some dark corners. We are not a Python project. For one thing, when we compile the document, we need to import quite a few Python bindings to get it compiled. But the Python binding, in turn, depends on some C bindings. But
some C bindings.
Yes.
Okay, so we need like some sort of C component that somebody needs to write in order to broker between read the docs and our Ceph docs. Okay.
Yes, even though there's simply C bindings are dummy functions, that will work. But the things we need to prepare this dummy stubs so it can be consumed by the Python bindings, and in turn that thing Python bindings will become consumed by the Sphinx render. That's the difficult part. Okay. Currently, what we are using is a very hackish way to prepare such kind of dummies, that dummy bindings, but that hackish way are not supported by read the docs. The YAML...
But that's API documentation, right, Keifu? This is about extracting internal data structures from the C code and automatically converting it into docs that are part of the manual. And I wonder if does this have to be part of the main manual, or would it make sense to maybe separate those out and then have those parts that need to be built within the Ceph code base and cannot be offloaded to read the docs be put into a separate piece of documentation and have the regular manual with the, which is not API documentation, that is auto-generated, done through Sphinx, read the docs, and make use of the infrastructure. Just wondering if there's a way to kind of split this into two components that can be looked at differently.
Yes, I never thought about it. That's a good idea. We could have two different flavors actually. One is to have a full-blown document. Another is like separated document, which does not contain the API document. That's a very good point. We could try it out to see if we can separate it and have two flavors.
Because as I said, I've been using read the docs and Sphinx for a previous project, and the benefits that you get from just using the platform, the built-in search, and the Git integration, the way of them supporting multiple branches to switch between different versions of the documentation, there are very few platforms out there that make it that easy. And if we have a challenge with auto-generated, if we have a challenge with just a certain part of the documentation, which is auto-generated API stuff, maybe we can put this into some separate manual and just refer to it from the main documentation. Say, hey, if you're a developer, and then point to some self-hosted instance that just takes care of that particular rendering. Just a random idea.
Yes, even the Redoc cannot, the build search engine cannot index such part. I don't think that's a deal breaker. Yes.
Right. True. The search would, of course, then not work for that particular part, but it's API doc, so maybe.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to say who cares, but what we want to index is the human-generated stuff.
Right.
I would like a search with proper stemming to encourage, as I've said, it's not my phrase, but serendipitous discovery of. I want people to be able to go to the website and they know a little bit of something about something that they're curious about, and then they learn more. And I feel like a stem search, like there's no reason to keep the API docs in the search, right? I mean, does anybody have any serious objection to it? I know this is sort of an artificial question, but I'm just trying to make like.
Yeah, it sounds like a good idea to me.
Okay.
I can rely on regular search engines to index the API docs, I think, and not have their own dedicated search. That's fine.
Yeah, and like, I want a good stem search so that I can then begin using the cross-referencing built-in part of Sphinx to point from one doc to another. Once we have and then we can reorganize the tree pane on the left so that it's sensible. Sorry. Yeah.
That's a good idea. Absolutely.
Thank you, Dan.
So
I never thought about it. It's a good suggestion.
Okay, great.
We can start working on it.
Yeah, this is entirely beyond my art, but thank you for showing up, Lens. This is super helpful.
Glad to be of service. Looks like then you need somebody to take care of the coding part in or reorganizing the Ceph configuration or the Sphinx function configuration accordingly, right? But maybe that. Then you can really focus on the content and we figure out what we need to do on the Sphinx side of things to separate this out.
Yeah, you're speaking to me, right?
All of you?
Oh, well.
But yes, you mentioned that you're not that familiar with the technology and the infrastructure behind it and not so much into coding. So it looks to me as if you would need somebody to help you with the underlying framework and technology things.
Yeah, that is what I've learned over the past few weeks of looking into search. I had hoped that there would be some sort of off-the-shelf solution but there apparently isn't, hence we're having this conversation. And I would really like to get back to producing content instead of worrying about how we're going to find it. But I don't want to create content that's just going to be thrown into a big pile that is undiscoverable. So I've probably said this ad nauseum to Neha and Josh and Kefu, but you're new here, and
well, for what it's worth, I do maintain the dashboard chapter in the documentation. So if you look at that particular part, that's primarily my work, and I try to spend every now and then some time on making sure it's complete. But and I've also tried adding more cross references to other components that the dashboard consists of. But yeah, I'm happy to learn more about your plans and if there's something where I can help or if there's any request to the dashboard documentation that we can address it so you don't have to take care of it. By all means, I'm on RSC during Central European times, so can just ping me anytime. I'm on the usual Ceph RSC channels.
Okay, well I'll ping you.
Real name, so easy to find.
I'll ping you a couple of times a week, just to check in, because I'm now I'm at a point in this project where I need to start talking to more people in order to know what is missing, what people are complaining about. And I'd hoped, before this whole damn coronavirus thing happened, we were gonna all be in South Korea, And then Neha and I had spoken, and she was like, yeah, we can make you famous when you're in South Korea, and then everybody can know to talk to you about docs. But that didn't happen, so we'll have to do it virtually this way.
And you mentioned that you would like to have somebody kind of like a sounding board and asking stupid questions about Ceph in general. I may be a good target for that as well, because, well, I've tried to figure out things around Ceph and think I have a basic understanding. Maybe that's on the right level for you to give you good starting points and explain things based on my perspective.
Okay. I'm writing
deep into details.
Right now I am writing down Lens is a candidate for the Stupid Questions Initiative.
And that regarding to the read.yaml, I can start working on it, but the slowness is expected. Because I'm occupied by something else, but I have started working on it the day before last night. So I can update you if I have some tangible result by then.
Okay,
I'm working on it.
Great. Thank you. We're almost at the end of the meeting time, and since I ran over like 35 minutes last time with Neha and Josh, I want to keep it to 30 this time because I know everybody's time is valuable, even though we're all stuck at home. Do you guys have, okay, so there's something else being typed here. Do you guys have anything else? Does anybody have any other issues? Okay, I'm going to take that as a no, so I'm going to do a quick recap. Neha, you will send me an invitation to a weekly meeting?
I already did.
Okay,
I already did.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm looking at this screen, and that screen over there has the email open. So, thank you. So that's that.
That's my virtual way of making you popular.
I appreciate it. It's it's the best we can.
I'm trying.
Thank you. Okay, so that's it. That's it then. That's the one like action item. And we'll talk about Quick Start Guide next time. I want the Quick Start Guide back up on the website, but again, that's pointless unless it's discoverable, unless it's in a sensible place, and we need good heuristic introductions before we can do that. So that's for the next time or next week. Okay.
Thank you.
Then
sounds good.
Then meeting over. I'll see you guys in meetings coming up.
Cool.
Cheers.
Thanks. Stay safe.
Thank you, everybody. All right. Bye.